Going to be going through a couple of things. The main focus of those things will be the Düsseldorf Boat Show, which starts on the 17th of January.
It's a bit of Christmas and New Year, less than 3 weeks. Okay, you do get to see, the immense proportions of these boats because they're not set in the water. They're out on a stand. You can see the hull, you can see the hull chines, the whole form.
It's running from the 17th to the 25th of January. So 9 total days, 16 halls with 220,000 square metres.
It's a lot of mileage to walk. You can really get your steps up.
11 themed areas, 67 nations represented. Our key focus, let's say, will always be all 6, I think. Well, I'd say it's our key focus. It's the super yacht.
It's a super yacht. But of course 4 and 5 has the plethora of day boat that we now know is so popular in the market. I've done my homework.
Oh, you've done your homework. What's on the list of what you want to see?
In no particular order.
Hi, this is Brandon from Brands International, and we are back again on another episode of the Yacht Show. Today I'm here with Spencer Brown. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks, Brandon, for having me again. The Yacht Show. Here we go again. I think this is episode 11.
I think that's where we are.
Yeah.
Yep, episode 11.
Yeah.
Episode 11. Today we're actually in a different country, which is a little bit different, in a rather special studio, I think. For
the UK studio.
Yeah.
For once. With grey sky and pouring rain outside rather than the normal blue sky and beautiful sunlight in Mallorca.
Yeah, we'll let the viewers guess where that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And in today's show, we're going to be going through a couple of things. The main focus of those things will be the Düsseldorf Boat Show, which starts on the 17th of January. Very close now, obviously just after the Christmas period.
It's 40 days.
Is it 40 days?
40 days, yeah. So and once we get to Christmas and New Year, less than 3 weeks. So it's around the corner.
It really is around the corner. But yeah, that's going to be the main focus of the topics from today. I think Düsseldorf. I mean, how do you look at Düsseldorf when you look at it on the scale of shows?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been to many of them. I still think it has a really strong place within the calendar, just purely because A, it's the biggest indoor show.
Yeah.
But B, it's a show that breaks up that European winter a little bit.
Agreed.
And allows for those sort of dreams of boating in the summer to come back through a little bit.
Yeah, and it's also that, you've got the grouping of shows at the end of the summer. And a lot those that don't buy or those that are considering buying the following year, it kind of offers that midway landmark in the calendar that says, I haven't made my mind up yet. I'll go and see a couple of things again, or I'll go and see a couple of people again, like us. I will go and see a couple of people and chat through the decisions I'm trying to make and get clearer guidance. So you're right. It does have its own very important place. And a lot of people look at it as in the wrong place in the calendar because of beginning of January, kids are going back to school, people are skiing, businesses are getting going again. So there's a lot of peripheral personal activity going on, but it's a great time, 2-3 months before the season starts to get going, initial momentum, not necessarily really get going, that people have got time still to consider and think about their purchasing situation and the deal situation after all.
Yeah, I think A, yes, 100%, all of those things. But B, also, as you just said, if we didn't have that, you wouldn't have an anchor that relates to anything to do with boats until later in the year. I mean, after that, for us, really, it's Palmer Boat Show, I guess, is the next.
With Palmer, and then a little collection of UK, European smaller shows that not every brand can necessarily pay attention to, or the bigger brands don't get most of their product there. So you're kind of, those smaller shows, again, are not really serving everyone to the fullness of possibility and potentiality. So again, coming back to Düsseldorf, it is a really good start of the year. Let's get everyone thinking about boating again. Those that are interested, you can really focus on a few things and get the interest gland working again.
Yeah, get that flow going. And I think it's interesting because we'll talk about it a little bit throughout today, but obviously from an attendance point of view, I think the bigger manufacturers are down in terms of number of units going this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite cool that it will still be a big show in terms of the volume will still be there, the size of the stands will still be there. And I actually think personally, with all the toys and facilities that manufacturers have now to show off product without it actually being there, it's such an important thing to have the stand there with everything there that goes around it. Yeah. Because even if they can't bring some of the bigger yachts, or the costs of bringing the bigger yachts has gone up substantially, you still can AI glasses something, and you can still show clients the bigger stuff and still bring some of the physical smaller boats.
Yeah, so that's one interesting thing is that obviously Pearl, the stand last year centered around virtual reality and the headset, looking at their product and visualizing their product. And there is a lot of, I mean, as we move forward into technology, there is a lot of thought going towards those sort of stands these days. And really, it then becomes the human you're seeing because you see the boat through a screen. Interesting.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm sort of getting at with that is that even if they were to, so let's say, for example, Sunseeker, as an example, in their heyday took 8 boats. Princess, I believe, had 8 boats there a couple of years ago as well.
Yeah.
So it's a big number, especially for the British manufacturers, which are potentially a bit closer than the Italians.
Yes.
But they, it's a big number of vessels. But even if they cut that in half, the reality is that the manufacturers can still show a lot with what the tools they have in the kit now.
Yeah.
And Pearl's one was really interesting as well because they had it all drawn out on the floor as well, so you could see all the floor plan, etc.
I thought it was a good imagination used for that stand. And I'm not sure how the buyer looked at it, but from us in the industry, it's like, okay, there's something slightly maybe more advanced there that is making it cheaper for brands to attend major shows like this.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that these shows are expensive,
very expensive
for the manufacturers,
and get more expensive.
And yeah, exactly. They don't get better value. So from that perspective, I just hope that everybody can continue to band together to ensure that these shows keep going, because I do think they're quite important.
Yeah, I agree. The sense of kind of being in a hall, because an indoor boat show. Let's think about that for a second. Boating is an outdoor activity. The irony of boats being inside a hall is quite strange, but it is winter. Okay, you do get to see, the immense proportions of these boats because they're not set in the water. They're out on a stand. You can see the hull, you can see the hull chines, the hull forms.
Yeah.
You can see a lot more of the boat that you wouldn't necessarily see normally. So there are other interest points that Düsseldorf brings to the eye.
Well, as an example for that, you go to Cannes, a lot of the product you would just see the back end of.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't see the profile. Yeah. And I don't remember, I don't know if it was with you, but I remember one year, I won't name the manufacturer, but I remember looking at the waviness in the actual GRP.
Yeah.
And you can see different things that you wouldn't see perhaps when the boat is stern to in a med mooring.
Yes, exactly.
So it does make a big difference from that perspective, because you do get to see different things that you wouldn't see before.
Yeah.
So we'll do a couple of key statistics on the show. So this year, January 26th, it's running from the 17th to the 25th of January. So 9 total days.
Yep.
There are 16 halls with 220,000 square meters of space.
Yeah, that's a lot of mileage to walk. You can really get your steps up at this show.
You always do.
Yeah.
You always do.
Yeah.
And you get cold as well because you go outside every 5 minutes. And
yes. Yeah.
There have been years that I've been to that show where there's been snow outside.
Yeah.
11 themed areas, 67 nations represented. Our key focus, let's say, will always be Hall 6, I think. I say it's our key focus. It's the super yacht.
It's a super yacht hall, yeah. So it's the one that we frequent most. But of course, 4 and 5 has the plethora of day boats that we now know are so popular in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And there's some great new brands. Again, every year there's a little bit more focus on electrification. There's probably some hydrogen stuff this year. So, the whole idea of sustainability is getting stronger in those smaller yachts as well, which I think is a real appeal. Hall 1, if I remember, has companies like Greenline, which, again, they're really focusing on amplifying the level of solar material on the superstructure of the yachts, and also their new hybrid system. So, there's lots of different things there. But yeah, Hall 6 is really the star, if you like, of the show.
I just think, it's one of those things. It's the whole. I mean, again, we say it as the star. I mean, you have other. I can't remember which hall it is off the top of my head, but you obviously have other halls that have every toy imaginable. So if you're there for a flight board or or one of its competitors, or you're there for a jet ski of any type, you can literally go and shop through all those things.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool. And again, you wouldn't be able to do that until. I mean, not even Palm Boat Show has that selection. So at the end of the day, in the Med, you would struggle to get that kind of variety anywhere else.
I'd agree, and actually, we don't normally mention ribs,
Mhm.
but I remember that being there last year. I counted over 50 rib manufacturers on display there. You don't see that. You don't see that many at Cannes. Because it's inside, they're on trailers. It's a lot easier for them to get there by road. It makes sense, and if you're a rib buyer, it's a really good hunting ground.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So going through a couple of let's say the hot bits and bobs that are on display that we want to see, that we want to talk about, that we want to show clients, that we want to go and sort of inspect. What's on the list of? I mean, we've obviously had you've curated a list of boats.
I've done my homework.
You've done your homework. What's on the list? What's on the list of what you want to see, and then we'll go through a couple of key features on some of those.
Yeah, in true TV terminology, in no particular order.
Yeah.
So in reality, I mean, there's the big guns that are in. To see 90-foot hulls inside a hull is always pretty astounding. So Sunseeker and Sanlorenzo both have their 90-foot models. Sanlorenzo have the SD90, the smallest of their displacement hulls. So looking forward to seeing that, because that is very elegant, a really sophisticated. I never want to use the word simplified interior, but they minimalist type interior, but maintain its sophistication. So that's the Ocean 90, mega from Sunseeker, mega flybridge, great layout, massive volume. Always pleased to see that lovely model from their range, as well as their more sporty things like the Predator 75. And obviously both coming from the Sunseeker stable, we do always gravitate there and have many great friends and colleagues there, and we'll always recommend that brand to our clients. But coming back over to the other side of that hall, for example, directly opposite, Princess X80, great model, very highly sought after now, and another example of that kind of genre of today's boat where Explorer has influenced motor yacht.
Huge.
And the interior volume of these things, which is the real pulse of today, the amount of apartment living you can get from a motorboat. The brands are really working on that and making that work. So,
well, and Princess were not one of the first, but they were one of the big, let's say the top manufacturers to go down that road,
yeah.
quite hard. And I think they did a really good job of making it look quite attractive, different. Don't get me wrong, it's not a, you put one of their 85 Princess Y85s next to a X80, it's a very different concept.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job with what they were trying to achieve.
Yes,
there for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And I think as well, obviously you've got your X80. I mentioned Sunseeker. They've got the Ocean 82 there.
Yeah.
So that if you're into that kind of new chapter of boating, there's two great examples there to look at on that theme. And again, I come back to it. Beach clubs, volume, fantastic. I think those are very much things of today's boating.
The question, I guess, with those ones, and I think we always deliberate these things between us. Do we think that is a fad, or do we think that is the future?
I think it's here to stay. I mean, I think and I'm not going to say, I almost said unfortunately, but the kind of the sleek, all in keeping
Predator 108.
Yeah, exactly. The lustful boats have now actually given way to boats that have a lot more functionality and domesticity. People feel comfortable bringing 6 to 8 couples on these boats. It's because there's much more volume, there's much more facilities. There's 2, 3, 4 outside areas. There's two or three inside areas. These lead into each other. It's much more. It's flexible apartment living. Walking out onto your balcony, walking back into your saloon. It's that kind of transitional, kind of interconnected way of designing a boat now, which is I think is fantastic. It just gives you a much more multifunctional area from the boat.
I do agree, and I do think that they are excelling a lot in what they're doing, and they're bringing out different things. But at the same time, it is interesting that other market, let's say, if you flip it on its head and go for the Pershings of this world, that's still okay. They've changed, and there is more internal space on them, but they are still sleek, fast, sporty style boats.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking a different size of manufacturers, and so that's going to make a difference going into those things. You as a brand like Princess, you probably don't have the space to make a super sporty boat and a and a X or Y style, no X style, Explorer style
Yes, yeah.
yacht. But it is interesting that no matter what you do, you can't get rid of those aggressive sporty boats either.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting to see your take on that, because I think everybody feels differently about these, as you say, apartment living boats.
Yeah. And I think when these models arrive in the marketplace, they're not necessarily wow boats.
Yeah.
Because people don't, they looked at the X95, let's use that as the kind, you mentioned Princess and how they were early in the stages of these, not everybody liked the look of that boat. There was a lot of people who didn't like the look of that boat, and it drove them into more traditional boats. Whereas I think now the more of these kind of bigger volume Explorer, almost trawler style boats you're seeing in the marketplace, the more it's normal.
Yeah,
it's something that and then the sales come. So it's not necessarily that in the old days you had this sleek, sexy, prolific, streamlined almost yacht that looked amazing on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
If you look at these yachts on a piece of paper, the same attractions there, and you can't see the volume on a piece of paper until you walk on the boat, which people are doing with these, and going, wow, look at the size of the saloon, look at the size of the galley, look at the way I've got my own dining room at the front with a panoramic window that feeds off the galley, but also has its own bow terrace. All those, that's just giving the buyer more and more reason to buy that boat, because they're thinking, I can use it in so many ways. Simple as that.
I agree. And I do think that other manufacturers are starting to see that some of the smaller day boat desk boats are starting to become sort of smaller versions of that, and people are starting to push into it. And like you say, it doesn't always matter what the initial market reaction is, it's where everybody else goes. And there are, the Italians are doing similar boats. The Infinito, okay, it's not a true Explorer, but it is a wider beam.
So interesting you brought that one up, because where we said about the kind of the Princess and the Sunseeker type idea, the Ferretti Group, because at the end of the day, that's is a grouping, a family group of companies, right in the centre of Hall 6 at Düsseldorf. That's interesting because they've got the Persian if you want the fast boat.
Yeah,
they've got a brand for each type. The Ferretti if you want the lovely Flybridge family boat. And bringing in the Infinito into the conversation is a really interesting factor, because yes, that is the direct family member from that group and family rival of the models we discussed. But I do really, I look at it, I do really like the imagination in the Infinito.
Mm-hmm.
It's not following any trends, it's setting trends within that. The size of that cockpit.
Yeah.
On an 80-foot boat, you've got a cockpit that feels like a 40-meter rear cockpit.
Well,
amazing.
Not just that, it's it's not quite, so the X and the Sunseeker 82 as an example, they are very, like you say, they're very enclosed. They also have a place in, let's say, more of the American and Asian markets.
Yeah, yep.
Whereas I think the Infinito, they've kind of gone middle, and they've gone, right, we want something that does work for all those things, but still has a bit of an open flybridge, still is a bit more open in certain areas. Big beam, because everything is big beam now.
Yeah.
And they've gone between the traditional and the let's say the more explorer type boat that is becoming very popular now, which I think is a really cool way to do it. And I think they are a cool yacht. And again, time will tell if they've done the right thing with that boat for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more attraction to come from that boat. And yeah, it's a good part of their family. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, talking of Italian stables and what they've done, I mean, obviously, Bluegame have done something quite interesting. They brought out a BGX 83, is it? Yeah, 83.
83, yeah.
Which, again, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but I think that's quite interesting. They've gone that large in the Bluegame, or Sanlorenzo have gone that large, Bluegame being a brand of the Sanlorenzo. I'm surprised they've gone that large in that size, in that model.
Yeah,
I'll get there eventually.
Exactly, because you've got obviously SX76.
Yeah.
And not that they're anywhere near the same boat, and they definitely have their own identities, but that buyer.
But the concept's not far off each other.
I know, but it's almost like the Range Rover Sport or Range Rover Vogue scenario. It is going to be a horse for a course.
Yeah.
But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what they can pack into a BGX of that size, and how that works and flows in between the areas, because that's it's going to be a nice offering in the range.
100%. I mean, the 73 was already great. The 63 works really well for what they do.
Yeah.
And I think the 83 will, again, it's this generation of explorer type yacht that is coming forward now that is really interesting to the buyer. I'm not sure if it's a step too big.
Yeah.
But again, I think it will cut, because again, the values of these things when they get to this size, if you've got things like the Princess X80, these things that are basically in the competitive range, it's going to have to be really quite special to outsell other things.
Yes, yeah,
or other products in the market. So I think it'll be interesting. Polaro.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a great launch though there. As we know, Sanlorenzo, their stand is always phenomenal. Leafy green, great sophisticated canapes, a lot of client seating area, and quite minimal with regard to boats. But it has got a real style and a feel of a private lounge, a private club, or an area where you think, okay, it's a little sanctum inside Hall 6. It's a really nice way of marketing their product, and they've maintained that look of the individuals having the blue suits, and the stand having the kind of shipping container look.
Yeah.
But the brand keeps that look is just timeless, and the brand keeps a really good presence in that hall. I always really enjoy standing on that stand.
I always think it's really well done, especially with the Bluegame and the Sanlorenzo next to each other.
Yeah.
I think they do a really good job on that front. Other product that you want to mention on that list of boats? I mean, we've done a couple of the Hall 6 super yacht side of things.
Yeah.
Moving into Hall 5, Hall 4. Is it Hall 4? No, it's 4.
Yeah, 4. There's
4 and 5.
Yeah. Just to say, I think Hall 7 now, Hall 7A, has a bit more of the bleed over from the super yacht 6, i.e., there's a lot of stands in there where they don't have a boat like the Zara. They won't have a boat, but they'll have a display with lots of bits and bobs going on.
Oh no, I mean, going to this show, I believe, I can't remember if it was, I think last time, I think Heason, Lurson, some brokers like Ocean Independence have stands there. It's, if you want to see anybody industry wide, that is where you can do that. So I'm pretty sure 7A is what they call the manufacturer's stand, but essentially without boats. So yeah, for sure, because I'm sure Horizon were in there as well last year.
Yes, yeah. So then you come into halls like 5 and 4, and like I said, you've got that amazing gamut of kind of day boats into weekenders.
Yeah, day boats, weekenders, chase boats. That conglomerate of sub. Let's say, I mean, it's growing every time. Isn't it? But is it sub 60 foot now, roughly?
Yeah,
roughly. 65 foot.
Kind of bleeds over.
I know.
Yeah. So, like in those halls, you've got some great things like, say, carbon yachts.
Mm-hmm.
Really coming up in the marketplace, state of the art look, fully carbon. The way they design their features and the flow of the boat is really, really something else. I think they're one of the standout manufacturers this year, and obviously with a good layered range now, 52, 42, 32. There's something to really look forward to seeing, and I know we're building up a bit of a better relationship with them over the next couple of months. So, looking forward to working with them and showing a couple of clients their products.
100%. I was thinking, I can't remember where it is now. I was thinking one that I didn't mention from on the let's say tender and whatnot side of things, which is actually Hall 6, but is, let's say, of that size. Obviously, Crunchy have that A46 luxury tender and the A32.
Correct, yeah. So we've got a family of luxury tenders,
which is really good. And that boat, again, been on a couple of the A46s in the past. Really, really good piece of kit, especially for the euro to the relation, the value relationship of that boat is very good.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the platforms, going to the larger end of the tender, but the layout of that deck on the A46 is just phenomenal. The look of it is very, very clever. Yeah,
it's interesting though. It's almost one of those things where if you don't do fold out decks on a boat of that size now, you basically are on a massive. You're on the back foot, because essentially everybody is doing these fold out sides, which increases some of the dimensions that some of the manufacturers are quoting that it increases by, I think, are a little bit exaggerative, but it does. When you do open both those sides up, we saw it on the Bellini 36.
Yeah,
with the Bellini 36.
Yeah.
When you open it up both sides, you do get that huge volume of a much bigger yacht on a small boat.
Yeah, and I think those boats that haven't got that feature are now incorporating that feature into their range. So, one example is, for example, the Axopar 37. What an amazing seller that's been in the marketplace. The 38 arrives with us in January 2026. Looking forward to seeing it. And obviously that is an example of what we're talking about. That has the fold out aft balconies to enhance the cockpit. And that feature is really becoming one of the go-to features for that whole size of boats, if not above it as well.
Yeah, I mean, Expar do a really good job at that show as well. To be fair, their presentation, the way the boat's displayed.
Yeah.
What they've got two 38XC cross cabins. Is that right?
No, 138 cross cabin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a 45.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
45, and then they've got a 29. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, from that perspective, that product being the pioneer of that size, that range of boat, that ideal day boat, weekender, whatever you choose it to be, and also has been sold to many super yachts as tenders as well.
Yeah,
they do a really good presentation at that show as to what's what.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and their stand itself, the design of it is great. It's got character.
Yeah,
you walk onto so many stands, and it's some carpet, a few steps, and a boat, and you kind of feel like there's no imagination. Whereas Axopar have taken that adventure theme, and planted it on a little which is good. They always have a nice presentation about the people as well, a certain colour of the fleecy or the t-shirt, which stands out a little bit and is not. It's just disrupting out of the norm a little bit. So hats off to them. They always do a great job.
Yeah,
and of course next to them is Bravos. So the performance version, if you like. So last year had that lovely shadow green. Stealth green, 37 there. That was with orange seats, which is obviously that's my preferred.
That's your colour.
That is a scheme, and that really got my
orange sheets.
It's a continuity to our other studio. But yeah, the point being is that the Bravos product always looks phenomenal under lights in the hall there.
Yeah, there's nothing really. I mean, Bravos in itself, when you talk about that product and what it does to, what they do to all their products, so whether that's Mercedes or whether that's Axopar, they do. What they do for those boats is
special. It's special. Yeah, exactly.
It really is incredible. What was it? I was on a Bravos 1000, and I just can believe some of the detailing that goes into the newer ones is just.
Yeah.
It is incredible, and it is out of this world. Just going through a couple that we haven't mentioned yet. There's obviously Frauscher have got their Frauscher Porsche 850 Phantom.
Yes, yeah. So now with the cabin at the bow rather than the walk-through,
correct.
Which I think is it's definitely a good beneficial thing to have. And that boat, the combination of the Porsche Macan drivetrain that's based on and the styling from Frauscher, that's a superstar. It really is. It's a lovely boat, and one of those, like I said, the yachting market is focusing on that a little bit more every year on sustainability and powertrains. It's good to see them taking the kind of the lead and the real the reins with that, and what a superstar boat that is.
Yeah, I agreed 100%. We also got obviously again going into or talking further on the smaller day boat style of things. You've got Saks Pirelli have got a fantastic stand on show.
Yep.
Solaris Power. And again, going back to what we were discussing earlier about how some of these manufacturers that are, Solaris Power have done really well in the sort of, I'd say 40-foot range up to 60-foot range.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously at this show, they're debuting a long range 70 which is, again, it's kind of along the Explorer line of their product, which again, I think feeds quite nicely into what some of the manufacturers that we discussed earlier, like Princess, Sunseeker, etc., are doing with this sort of more enclosed, longer cruising idea, or more guest / cruising idea, with their yachts at the moment.
This could be an interesting one to kind of sit in rivalry to the Pardo 75 Endurance, and also the Delta 72, which isn't at the show. They get 48 at the show. But I took a look at that boat last week. I think that's got a real place in the marketplace. The Delta, it's a good looking boat. It really is.
Yeah.
But you're right. They're kind of almost like day boat weekenders that are grown into something to just sit under the major brands and fly bridges and things like that, just to sit there.
Well, and that's where that one specifically, because obviously the 75, they've got a 75. I don't know if it's the GT or coupe. No, it's coupe. 75 coupe is the same as the Pardo, which is obviously one deck.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the long range has obviously got that extra flybridge on top.
Yeah.
Which again, I think adds to that. The volume of the thing is going to be immense. So yeah, as you say, I think it all really compete with those things. The Delta is definitely something that's coming up as well. And again, it's interesting that these boats that for a while people were moving away from and going very flybridgey, standard layout, etc.
Yeah.
They're coming back through as a sort of almost, I don't know, I want to say V style, Predator style, yacht almost.
It's today's sexy version of a boat, isn't
it?
Whereas the things we were talking about earlier, I wouldn't ever describe that as sexy. Someone might.
No.
But that's what's coming up now. Is kind of almost in reaction to other manufacturers moving into a more blocky superstructure based boat and based around volume. You mentioned obviously the tenders and the chase boats, that sort of thing. I don't want to forget our good friends Vertu.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a stunning British Racing Room V10 top.
Yeah.
At the show, I think they're in Hall 4. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that because that boat's going to look awesome. Just shows you again that interesting pop of colour that makes boats really come alive inside a hall. They of course launched the V14 at Cannes 26, so they'll be building up to that as well. So they're obviously building a range where the kind of the V10 owner has someone to move up to, and again fitted as standard with fold out balconies. Performance, the Pete step hull. It's a great little concoction of ideas in that boat.
No, I think this is the thing. If you as a buyer wanted to go to Düsseldorf, and again, this is something that we often organise, but if you wanted to go to Düsseldorf with the idea of looking at, let's say, 75-foot motor yachts as a concept, it is still a great place to go. You can get in, you can get out. The flight connections are really good.
Yeah. The city's great.
The city's great. The facilities are great around the city.
Yeah.
Places to stay are great. So it really is, in my mind, still a show that really does work for the European market and gets everybody out of, let's say, a little bit of the, not the doom and gloom, but the greyness of the winter and thinking about that summer period.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, we mentioned Lazarus in Hall 7 earlier. I remember now Majesty in Hall 7 as well.
Yeah.
So, you've got that kind of, you mentioned European, but you also got the kind of global input into the show that just maybe not full investment with a boat in Hall 6 sort of thing, but having a presence there and making sure that their brands are presented and the people, coming back to the human part of this buying process, which is, whether it's us as brokers, the manufacturers' representatives, or the dealers themselves, the people are the important bit at Düsseldorf, because it's great to walk around, see the people, get introduced, do some networking. What a fantastic amount of European and global expertise there is throughout all those halls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much more on Düsseldorf to say other than the fact that is exactly what that it really does do what it says in the tin in terms of it is the biggest show, indoor show that there is. You can walk around it. We've been there before when it's snowing. It's a great show for that time of year. Yeah. I think we should do a couple of tips and tricks on Düsseldorf.
Good idea.
Yes, assistance as to how you can navigate it. So again, flights in and out super easy. Airport's extremely close.
Airport's next door.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So you're Uber away very, very quick. One thing I would say from experience is if you are going to drive and you want to park without having to take a shuttle, book the parking in, whether that's through us, through the website, whatever, you can book into the main car park. And if you don't, you will be getting a shuttle 20 minutes out.
Yeah.
Then stands. I mean, every stand at Düsseldorf, because of the volumes, because of the people, because of everything, you do need appointments.
Yeah, exactly. It's all gated, isn't it? So it's all reception, and I think that's where we as agile brokers can help a lot. We can make sure you've got appointments on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stands. We can make sure that we time them right. We can guide you through and make sure you're given a helping hand through the show, particularly if it's your first time.
Yeah, I mean, often you and I both know we get given a 48-hour window and we get told this is what I want to see, and you got to make that work. And I think in the end, the beauty of Dusseldorf is it is very doable because it is a little bit more limited in terms of the size of it.
Yes.
That you can say, okay, right, we're going to go look at the Pearl 63. We're going to go look at the Explorer. We're going to go look at the Solaris, and we're going to go look at the Sunseeker, whatever.
The Newman at 56.
56.
Yes.
And you can condense that into those 2 days. You can see everything. You can feel every product.
Yeah.
So we can organise that very easily, very simply at those shows. But coming back to it, is important that you do book in, because if not, there is a chance that you won't get on.
Yeah.
Because everything is with attendance of some kind.
Yeah.
So you can't be doing that without. Anything else on Dusseldorf?
Yeah, I always find Dusseldorf a little bit weak on kind of, how can I say, lounges or places to go and eat and drink. So, again, that's maybe where we can help a little bit if clients want somewhere slightly better, not the corner of a cafe in the corner of a hall. If they want somewhere slightly better, then speak to us, and we can guide the way that way.
I mean, the way I've done it in the past is either, obviously you come from a hotel or whatnot. You come into the show, and essentially you basically work off one of the stands will have food, essentially, or you organize food on one of the stands. They have that, and then they disappear off, or you take them off for dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
Because there is really nowhere good for lunch.
Yeah.
Essentially, is the short version of it.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to be as polite as you. It's pretty rubbish in terms of food, unless you want to be standing at a cart eating a sandwich. It's best to basically work it around that way. Apart from that, Dusseldorf, I think apart from that, hotel access is great because it's very easy. I think that's for me, that's the crux of Dusseldorf.
I think as well, the visitor can also think of Dusseldorf this way. Dusseldorf is a great shopping city, like London, like others. So if you come to show, spend a day in Dusseldorf as well.
Yeah. Because
it's a very modern, well organised, easy city with all the great brands, and it's the hotels are great. You can spend a really quality couple of days there.
Well, I think especially from our more UK client base, most of them do tend to make it a weekend.
Yes,
because it's a nice city to do a weekend in.
Yeah.
There's enough to do. There are places to go. There are restaurants to go to in the city, not in the show. So that's plenty.
Yeah.
I think coming through to that, I think we'll touch on. I mean, I know that you did a podcast with Tom on the full extent of what our newest service is, which is what we're calling Bespoke by Browns.
Yeah.
But we're going to touch on it because I think it's important that Bespoke by Browns operates very well within settings like this.
Yeah. Very, very true, Brandon. At the end of the day, the part of the process of Bespoke by Browns, and A is listening to the client, B is reacting and preparing a list, but C is seeing things, touching things, feeling things, and making sure that they're right, whether it's the options or one target boat. Dusseldorf is a good opportunity to see and meet and just run through those things and understand what the client's looking for face to face. So again, if you are interested in looking at a couple of boats, if you have a couple of options, you're thinking about it, we can help a lot there with Bespoke by Browns. We can hone down, evolve, funnel, whatever you want to do it, your ideas into the optimal product, and then introduce you to the right people to make sure you get the right yacht. So yeah, Dusseldorf is a great part of a stepping stone within the Bespoke by Browns journey.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is, I think, as well, is Dusseldorf causes sales.
Yes.
And sales cause second-hand vessels that become available.
Yeah.
And so we can always push through, even if you're looking for a second-hand boat, you can come to us for that, because I think that at the end of the day, that is how it tends to create more opportunities, basically. Dusseldorf is always, the main manufacturers will all close some deals at these shows. And that then provides opportunities for us to make sure that you can find the right boat for you.
Yeah, and coming back to where Dusseldorf sits in the calendar and where Bespoke by Browns works, Bespoke by Browns doesn't really work overnight. But the point is, you can look at the yachts, a yacht or yachts there. You can understand where you are. We've got 2 to 3 months before the season starts to gain its momentum to sort out A, marks in your boat, B, part exchange in your boat, and C, buying the next boat. There is time there still. If you wait till April, May, the options tend to start fizzling out, and you are very much then.
Well, you're just limited.
Yeah, what is left, or is it next year? And I'm going to put the cat amongst the pigeons as well. The manufacturers and the dealers are more hungry to sell at that time of year. So we can introduce you to a more hungry dealer. You as a buyer, we can introduce you to a more hungry dealer. We can all look to get each other in the eyes, and we can actually do a better job for you, the buyer, which I think is really important at Düsseldorf.
Well, I think it brings us on to, quite interestingly, it brings us on to what I would say is the next bit I want to discuss, which is more than anything, at the end of the day, we as Browns, we function on selling these secondhand, these new boats, etc. But one of the things that we do really well is making sure that we're working with everybody in unison to make those things happen.
Right. Yeah.
And we know at the moment, just doing a bit of a should we say, a summarization of this year, we know at the moment, the beginning of this year, it was more of a seller's market. At the moment, it's very much becoming a buyer's market. We are seeing that there are fewer buyers, fewer active people and customers looking for vessels.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, we do have to be more aggressive, more tactful, more thoughtful on how we put these deals together. So for sure, I think if you are a buyer looking to buy a boat at the moment, wintertime is always a good time to be out and about. Okay.
Yeah.
Bit of a we're going to do a little summary on this year on us at Browns here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So we've obviously gone from a team of 2 now to a team of 5.
Yeah, it's getting a bit busy.
Well, I mean, busy is good. Busy is good. It means we're growing. We're bringing things in.
Yeah.
We're obviously opening our UK base as well as our Mallorca base. Our charter division got launched this year, so again we're bringing in the CA of a Sanlorenzo SL78
in Mallorca, which is great.
In Mallorca, will be available for charter at all times. Again, as you said, this is episode 11 of the podcast. We've actually filmed episode 12 as well, but we're gonna mishmash. It was also the first year that we did a show showcasing a yacht, which was Palmer Boat Show.
Yeah. So that's good. You know, when the brand is there amongst the other brands and the other flags in a row, and you look up and you go, look at that. That's phenomenal. That's achieving somewhere.
I'm not, I'm not very a sentimental person. In the sense of I am a sentimental person, but I'm quite reserved with it. But it was very cool getting there. I think I can't remember why I came late the first day.
Late because you had a viewing.
No, I wasn't hungover. Don't say that.
No. You had a viewing.
No, yeah, fine, perfect.
Teamwork.
But I remember getting there the first day and going, wow, look at we're here in the middle of on Moive, right in front of Marden Nudos, and we've got all these people that we know coming to see us doing things with our brand above our boat was really truly special.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that again. We're going to try and up it this year, but we always do. Just a couple of stats again. This year's been pretty busy for us at Browns. We've done 17 yachts. That's 17, including a new build for 2027, which is very, very exciting. There's a total of 29 million euros sold.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Including that new build. We've listed vessels in 5 different countries, which include UK, Spain, France, Croatia, and Poland.
Yep.
And
Greece.
Six. I'll look at the data later over there and tell her off later. Again, the charter aspect has been fantastic. We've done 30 charters within the first 6 months of launch.
Yeah. That's from a standing start. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I think as well, the thing with the charter stuff is it's such a good. I never believed in how complementary chartering is to sales until we had somebody doing charters. As in, I think if you bring charters in and you help it to be together with sales, then it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I always sort of feared it because I thought if I had to be involved in the charters, it would take away from the sales.
Yeah, exactly.
And naturally, it would. And so it's fantastic to then not have to be doing that, where Jen is pushing the charter side of things, and we then can focus on other things, but bringing it as a true complement to that side.
Yeah, and they do make the cycle, don't they? I mean, at the end of the day, people who go on, let's say onto the SL78, start to like this yachting.
Yeah.
Okay, start to talk to us about the yachting, and this circle continues. The charter leads the sale, or the sale leads the charter. I think that's a really good symbiotic relationship that we've got the balance right with. Whereas a lot of companies don't necessarily. They think they think they've got to do both, but they don't. They ignore one. They neglect one slightly, in favour of the favoured child. Whereas I think we've got that kind of quite a good circle of family of business there.
So it's been. I mean, in general, it's been I think it's been a pretty successful year.
I think it's phenomenal, really. For the youth of the company and the amount that's coming through the door, the amount of momentum. and also the feedback we get from the socials, the visuals that we do, and I think it's something that we firmly intend to continue with, is giving boats character, giving boats this amazing appeal rather than just wallpaper of a picture of a boat from an iPhone. We try and do the angles, we try and do the light, we try and make sure that the client can really see the life in a boat and then be drawn in and magnetized by the way it looks, the way it's going to feel. It's much more of a connected way of advertising boats. So I think that, hats off to the creative director within the team for doing a great job there.
Yeah, she does. She does indeed. She does indeed.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, again, wrapping up what we've just discussed a little bit. That's 2025. So just quickly on this podcast, we're just wrapping up essentially Düsseldorf Boat Show. Anything else you want to say on that one, Düsseldorf?
No. Other than we'll be there.
Yeah.
Would love clients to get in touch, to meet them there. It's a great opportunity, as we said earlier, to see a few boats, to talk about the future. It might be 12 months, 18 months, 2 years planning ahead, but it'd be lovely to see you there face to face, because it is a great venue, not a good venue, a great venue, Central Europe, to see people.
To be honest, the more time we have sometimes is the best time at the end of the day. We get that time with the customer to go through everything in a detailed format. So
without distraction.
The longer the better. That said, there is availability now on a lot of product. So that's always a nice thing. We touched on Bespoke by Browns. I didn't want to go too much into it because you have a podcast releasing soon with Tom about it specifically.
Correct.
How it works. But going back to it, it is essentially our personal yachting service, isn't it?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it is a personal yacht shopping service. The idea of cutting out the white noise around the purchase, of making sure you go from A to B to C on a direct route, filtering out all the stuff you don't need to do, and looking at your target boat. That's what it's about.
Correct. And then on that, I think obviously we've done our little our roundup of our 2025 year, which I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of everything that we've managed to achieve. Going into 2026, we have Brown Space opening in Port Calanova in 2026.
Great, yeah.
That'll be early 26, which will be very exciting. We have a owners club which we're launching, which we will go into a bit more detail about, but look forward to that, because I think that's a fun part of what we do. We have a captain's event coming up, which is going to be really, really cool if we can put it off,
with some fantastic partners as well.
Yeah,
we're just recruiting those at the moment, but the ones we've got in line are slightly different and maybe a little bit off-piste for the yachting industry, but that's what we do.
But I think that's what the yachting industry needs.
We bring interest into it, and that's a great thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And then obviously we'll obviously be attending all the shows. So Palma, we will be trying to up the ante on last year. We'll obviously be attending Cannes and Monaco like we did last year. So in general, we'll be following the same basis of the year structure, but moving it into the next step.
But adding a few more client orientated things in there, where Browns can show our clients and prospective clients what exactly we do, which I think is a really important thing, that people start to look at us as a community, as a fun community who care about the customers.
Well, I mean, and that's why our summer event, which we're not going to talk about too much because we're still finding stuff in details, but that summer event, if we can put it off how we want to, will be a really cool landmark in our calendars.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Well, I mean, as always, great pleasure to sit here and chat all things boats. As I say, look out for that next one coming out, which is going into full detail on what we do as Bespoke by Browns, how we do it, where we go, and we'll see you next time on the Yacht Show.